Hello all, this is episode 6 of She-Hulk review, and it's going to be a quick one because basically She-Hulk went to a wedding and a toxic man is in a divorce case. Jen gets an invitation to be a bridesmaid at a wedding. It was mildly amusing, the invitation, because it was all sparkly and ridiculous, so that made me smile. There's a conversation between her and Nikki about going to this wedding and why she's being a bridesmaid for someone she doesn't really know anymore. Jen does a fourth wall break where she literally points out that this episode is meaningless. This is a constant thing with these fourth wall breaks, is she tells us how pointless what we're going to watch is, or points out the problems with the show. Very odd. And for people who are writing this, who are clearly aware they're writing crap, and they're making a joke out of writing crap, you'd think they were being meta if you didn't know they were just shit writers. So I'll address these one at a time. I'll start with the divorce case. Mallory is handling Jen's caseload while she's off. So the case is that this chap keeps getting married, gets bored, and kills himself rather than face the conflict of splitting up with the person. He's a douche. Shocker. Male douche. 10 minutes of this show and the first man who speaks is an arsehole. Shocker. Nikki and Mallory are pretty much hostile towards him. Understandable, because he's a douche, and what he's saying is very douchey. But I would have thought as his representatives, you probably should be on his side regardless of how reprehensible he is, or at least appear to be that way. Anyway, he jumps out the window because he doesn't like the conflict when they're being hostile, falls, hits a car, gets up and walks away. Fast forward to later on, the three of them are sat in front of 8 women and 1 man. Turns out they all found out about him after looking at a website called Intelligentsia, which Mallory refers to as the one for hateful man babies. So yeah, incels are the bad guys in this. Again, they are tending to side with the women than they are with him, their client. He makes an offer which would be split separately. The women disagree because some of them think they deserve more. Nikki then negotiates with them all to come up with a solution that satisfies everybody. Mallory tells her she's amazing because all of a sudden they're besties now, of course. And after that's settled, Nikki and Mallory look at the Intelligentsia website, find a section that says Slutty She-Hulk, which is created by Hulk King. They can't get into it initially. Nikki starts writing some unpleasant comments about She-Hulk, and they find out there's your typical trolling website, death threats, horrible statements, horrible comments. Nikki says she's got to tell Jen. Mallory says don't, she doesn't need that shit in her head, it's just a bunch of trolls. And Nikki rings her and leaves a message. We will return to that. Jen arrives at the wedding as She-Hulk, which I thought was a very weird thing to do, given Jen was invited, not She-Hulk. All the women are like, oh my god, you look amazing. Not a single man speaks. They're all just standing in the background looking stupid. Jen's friend walks up, says basically it's my wedding. I don't want you to show me up in my wedding. So Jen reverts back to Jen. There's also in here a comment about the bridesmaids have an equivalent groomsman. Jen's isn't there. And they're all saying how amazing it is. And it's a dog because it's funny. Everyone laughs. So the bride's a dick to Jen, asks her about her life. Jen starts saying about how great her life is, and the woman just says, no, I want to know about men. Are there men in your life? Jen says no. She gets the pity party bit from her friend. Then Titania shows up because she's dating a friend of the groom, and obviously she's just wheedled away there to get close to Jen. How she knew Jen was going to be there, who knows? We don't worry about shit like that. Jen goes a bit potty because she knows Titania's just there to fuck with her, and her friend says, nah, it's fine, don't worry about it. There's a weird bit where Jen says, nobody believes me. You've not spoken to anybody except this one person. Weird. Just weird. Nitpicky, but weird. So Jen goes outside and gets chatted up by this nice man. First, genuinely nice man other than her dad that's been in this show. And that brief conversation is interrupted by the bride dumping work on her and the chap because apparently some of the staff have quit because the bride's a dick. The other bridesmaids dump washing on Jen, and this is where the dog is revealed. So Jen gets pissed, dances a lot, calls Bruce, who doesn't reply, because obviously he's off in space, in the Sakaar spaceship. Nice bloke is nice again. She does some pissed flirting with him, and says she wants to go to one wedding and show how great she's done. Narcissism as always with this one. And mentions that she's She-Hulk, and how lovely She-Hulk's hair is. And the chap says that he thinks she's beautiful. So, that conflict thing where Jen was weirdly jealous of the attention She-Hulk was getting? It's sorted. Not a problem anymore. Some bloke likes her. All forgotten. Problems always get solved in this in about 5 minutes. I'm guessing they must have spoken more than this, but this is only the second time they've spoken, and the last conversation was very brief, but apparently he thinks she's great. I'm presuming there's stuff we didn't see, but who knows. Jen runs outside to puke. Titania sucker punches her. How Jen gets up from a sucker punch from Titania when she's just in her Jen form, I don't know. Titania wants to have a fight with She-Hulk. Jen struggles to transform. Finally does. Punches Titania into the room. Oh, I forgot to mention her cousin's DJing. I thought it was her brother. Her cousin's DJing, and he's being a lame-ass DJ that you'd expect. There's a fight. It's quite brief. Better than the last fight. And Titania ends up slipping over, smashing her face on the floor, and breaking all her veneers. Meanwhile, people are taking photos. So that's going to humiliate her more. Jen's a bit embarrassed when the bride walks in, because Jen promised she wouldn't transform, but the bride's thrilled that She-Hulk's there. And nice bloke, has a cheesy grin on his face, and they wave at each other. Penultimate scene is Jen sharing chips with this chap, which probably means they're going to fuck, because that's how easy Jen is. We've established that from the previous episode. A camera zooms out, and Jen's actually being filmed, and she's on a screen with other information about her, and a message from the Hulk King saying next phase of plan ready to go. And the screen's in a lab, and scientists put a needle on a syringe. It's a big metal needle. Presumably it's vibranium, because obviously that was mentioned previously in the date episode by the creepy guy who clearly is the Hulk King. And he puts the needle in the case and closes the case. End of show. So yeah, filler episode. The wedding stuff had its moments of being funny-ish, although it seemed very familiar to me. I felt like I'd seen it before, multiple times in multiple films. It was just unoriginal. An okay episode. I mean, 4 men spoke in this episode. One was a douche. One was an idiot. One was the gay chap who was dumped, so he kind of really wasn't anything. He had about 1 line. And then the nice guy. And that was it. Although, will the nice guy turn out not to be a nice guy, given that they were being filmed? Who knows? So yeah, an okay episode. If you missed it, you wouldn't miss much. Obviously, the bad guy is going to be an incel, because incel's the most evil threat in the world. Supervillains who kill people? No. A bunch of sad loser keyboard warriors. Oh my god, terrible. Man, these writers are just trying to make their own stupid points. Jen the superhero fights incels. Fuck me. All that shit's just boring. And apologies, I'm swearing a fair bit in this one. I don't know why. Because it didn't irritate me as much as previous ones. Maybe I'm just tired of this epic failure of a character that I've loved for decades and was really looking forward to being in the MCU. And this is what we get. I'll end it there because I'm pretty sure I am repeating myself. And I could go on forever. If you'd be interested in subscribing or liking, I'd appreciate that. And if you'd like to support my comic book, Marked, it's a 228-page graphic novel. And it's available from my website. Link is in the description below. Thank you very much for listening, and peace out.